Good morning.
Going to a football match in the middle of pandemic feels like an undergoing endurance test in a reality TV show. A pre-match message instructs me to arrive at Hampden Park in Glasgow 3 hours before Scotland kick off against Czech Republic. I must wear a mask at all times. I must take in all food from my micro bag into a plastic bag provided by the stadium, and all the catering outlet will be shut. So no rancid burgers or cartons of flat Pepsi to keep me going. When I immediately turn up to the stadium 3 hours early, the crowds are predictably sparse. The pub outside the ground overflowing with over, the pub outside the ground overflowing with supporters wrapped in Scotland flag looked like a tempting alternative. But when I suggest to a steward that I might go get a drink ahead of the game, a look of concern crosses her kindly face. Be careful which pub you're going to, she says. That was you coming. What is she referring to? What is she referring to? Could it be a lunchbook bag A4 side that I'm clutching? I haven't given my spare ticket to a rear Scot. My friend Alastair, but he's from Edinburgh, so also not 100% at home in Glasgow. We decide to take the advice and skip the pub. Inside the stadium, we encounter a fan in the loudest tartan suit I've ever seen, including a tiny tartan clutch bag. I haven't given my including a tiny tartan clutch bag. I pose for a photo with him and he tells me I had it tailor-made, son. It fits me like a glove. It is not just COVID regulation that make this unique and peculiar football tournament. Euro 2020, as UEFA still insists in calling it, has also become sucked into the culture war. National football team as symbol of the nation, but that is not as straightforward at a time when national identity is so fiercely contested. The pressing issue for Scotland, it is independence. For England, it is race. It is race. For England, it is race. The English football team has decided to take the knee before matches as a protest against racism. But each time they do it, they are booed by a significant section of their own supporters. Even the government seems uncertain about how to respond. After hesitating for a while, Boris Johnson, Prime Minister, condemned the booing and urged fans to get behind the team. But two members of his cabinet, Jacob Rees-Mogg and Priti Patel, defended the protest, with Rees-Mogg suggesting that the protesters are not expressing racism but condemning the Marxist of Black Lives Matter movement. Patel, a brilliant Home Secretary, accused the player of indulging in gesture in politics. Players from the England team whose pre-game press conferences are normally confined to discussing tactics, injuries, and the atmosphere inside the camp, and now being added to react Home Secretary. It would be natural to assume that cabinet ministers are better at politics than footballers, but the Johnson government has reason to be worried of the England team. Last year, it went down to an economic deficit when it took on Marcus Rashford over the extension of free school meal for poor families. The Manchester United and England forward mobilized 1 million signatures behind the petition and forced the Johnson government to change tack. The 23-year-old Rashford preparation for Euro 2020 included a Zoom call with Barack Obama, while plenty of tourists are prepared to grumble about the war Rashford in private. None are willing to take him on in public. The culture wars over football are not just happening in Britain. When the multiracial Belgian team took the knee in Russia ahead of their opening game, they were also booed by the crowd. Doubtless, the Russians were also protesting against Marxism. Viktor Orban, Prime Minister of Hungary, one of the host nations for Euro 2020, had defended fans who were visiting teams that take the knee, saying that Hungarians see the gesture as a provocation. Orban is himself a right-wing provocateur who has become a hero to the Trumpist right in America by issuing frequent warnings about the alleged dangers of Europe being flooded by Muslims. But even some moderate conservatives are uncomfortable about footballers. Taking the knee. One prominent Tory thinker in Britain laments to me that football used to be a political sport, but now the national team has become a source of division. I can see what it means. This year's tournament inevitably brings back memories of Euro 96. When England also played their games at Wembley, and the whole country did seem to get behind the team. In a complicated sort of way. Back then, packed the stadium all joined in the singing of Three Lions. Football's coming home. Now the stadiums are largely empty, and some of the home crowd are actually bring the players. Actually bring the players. Actually, what is this? In November 90, England was play the same to get behind in and complex, but then pick the same all joined the same three line. Now the same large line than actually bring the. But as somebody who has been to many England games, over the years, I know that the idea that the team was never mixed up with politics or race is an illusion. England games have always attracted a substantial number of Saudi hooligans and far-right supporters, whose trademark chant is "No surrender to the RA." At the last European Football Championship in France in 2016, the ugly tradition of English football hooliganism re-emerged. When I remarked to another fan that hadn't particularly enjoyed being caught up in a near riot outside a bar in Marseille, I was told curtly, "If you don't like it, you should stay at home and watch the game on television." Football ground in the 1970s were also where I saw the most overt racism that I ever witnessed in Britain. It was routine to see black players bark Bibles and monkey noises. The football authorities and commentators were silent about this for many years. So if the current national side feel they want to make a statement about racism, it is hard to accuse them of bringing politics into a political space. The particularly racial politics, have always been there. The identity issues are rather different for Scotland. Euro 2020 comes as the Scottish government is ramping up demand for a second independence referendum. This is the first major international tournament the team has qualified for since 1998, fitting the narrative of national revival. Arriving in Scotland for the first game of the tournament, I find the local paper full of optimism. In recognition of the enormity of the occasion, the Scottish government has even allowed schools to stop lessons to allow the kids to watch the game against checked leaves. As a visiting English fan, I wonder how I feel about all this. I grew up supporting Scotland in big international tournaments. I had little options since England failed to qualify for the World Cup of 1974 and 1978. But British identity was less complicated back then. The anthem player for the Scotland side that lined up to play Brazil in 1974 was "God Save the Queen," although the two recordings did not show the Scottish player looking particularly delighted. Today, the crowd and team will be belting out "Flower of Scotland" with this third word that we can still rise now and be the nation again. When Scotland qualified for the World Cup in 1973, there were more than 90,000 people inside Hampden. But today, thanks to COVID, it's a little over 9,000. Far from the joyous return to the big time that has been advertised, it feels pretty black and lonely up in the stand, even if the Tartan army has been reduced to a little more than a couple of battalions. They belt out "Flower of Scotland" loud enough to drown out conversation. The team start the game with all the expected passion and stream forward. Their captain, Dave Robertson, can be seen gesturing to his player to calm down. Then the tech score and the air is sucked out of the stadium. At halftime, which I choose spent in the toilet next to hand dryer, the warmest spot in Hampden, there is hopeful chatter around that Scotland might still be able to turn this round. But early in the second half, football history is made by the Czechs. Patrick Schick, the team's centre forward, gets the ball on the half-forward line and floats the ball over the Scottish goalkeeper into the net. It is one of the most brilliant goals any of us will ever witness. The crowd is now almost totally silent, apart from a tiny group of cheering Czechs on the other side of the stadium and a group of children near me who continue happily shouting for Scotland, while the dirt around them was frozen in horror. After the match, Alastair reminds me that Scottish fans are used to bitter disappointment. Making the national football team a symbol of the nation is double-edged sword. We imagine them scoring wonderful goals and celebrating the fans. But what if your goalkeeper ends up floundering flat on his back, tangled up in the net? Euro 2020 has already delivered humbling setbacks for two football-mad populist leaders. Orban gave permission for capacity crowd to attend Hungary's opening games in Budapest against Portugal, only to see the national side lose 3-0. Recep Tayyip Erdogan, president of Turkey, traveled to Azerbaijan and sat in a place of honor in the stands, next to Azar prison, from where he was able to see Turkey go down to a 2-0 defeat against Wales. England fans also have a habit of disappointing their most ardent fans. The side often portrays as the embodiment of what we like to believe are national characteristics. Courage, calmness under pressure. In fact, as a recent piece by Jonathan Liu in The Guardian pointed out, very cute. Pointed out. England are uniquely bad at holding a lead in a tournament. The numbers seem to suggest they might even be bottlers. And that or healthy, the French and Italians are much better at holding their nerve when they take leads. If Gareth Southgate, the England major, can somehow break this cycle and turn England into a winning outfit, it will inadvertently provide a huge boost to the Johnson government that is desperate for symbol of the success of Brexit Britain. But Southgate has subsequently but unmistakably positioned himself to the left of the government taking the knee. He leads a multiracial team and has reluctantly defended their right to make statements on subjects other than football. It has become accepted wisdom in Britain that cultural wars always work better for the right than the left. But football may be an exception. A poll taken across Europe before in 2020 showed 54% of English football fans supported the taking the knee, with 39% opposed. If the England team keep winning, the number in favor may rise, along with the team's popularity. For once, the right may find itself on the wrong end of a cultural war. For the duration of Euro 2020, I will care much less about who wins the cultural war than who wins the tournament. For Scotland, Euro 2020 began with a deflating defeat. The England team disappointed fans almost as reliably as the Scots. Just slightly later in the day, on the other hand, this is a real tournament. It's taking place in the middle of pandemic. The stadiums are quarter full and England are playing half decently. I am allowing myself to hope for the weirdest outcome of the lot, an England victory.